So Daphne, it's now a few days after the conclusion of our 2024 Vegan Superhero Retreat, which is kind of our big event that we host every year where we have all of our team members come in and our clients come in. And we had about 150 people there this year. And it's just a really awesome experience that highlights to me the importance of community, of surrounding yourself with people who support you, encourage you, want the best for you, building connections, friendships, and really kind of showing up for other people in a big way. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And I'd love to start by just maybe hearing some of your thoughts about the retreat and how you felt about this year's experience of getting together.
So Leif, sitting in this beautiful setting outside, listening to the birds hum and the crickets chirp, it actually takes me back to being at the retreat. It was amazing. This is my third retreat. My first retreat was my first year, where I didn't know anyone, and it was a little intimidating, but you felt welcomed immediately. And now this year, I felt welcomed in a different way. I think there's a warmth and a camaraderie and a sense of belonging that you can't explain. It's like having someone hug you and you just feel that hug last for 5 days.
Yeah, it's a really beautiful way of putting it. And yeah, as you touched on, if you can hear crickets in the background, we are outside right now, so maybe a little bit of background noise, but we just have this beautiful setting. We're actually at our coaching team retreat, which we do after or before or after our vegan superhero retreats. And we just want to spend some time with our team. And anyways, we're at this really beautiful Airbnb with this amazing backdrop. And if you only listen to the audio only versions of the podcast, you might want to check us out on YouTube because we are recording the video versions of most episodes now. So you can check that out by searching for the Vegan Gym Podcast on YouTube, and you can watch this really epic sunset behind us. I'd kind of prefer to be turned the other way to watch it, but we're going to let all of you watch the sunset instead because we've seen that the last few nights. Yeah, so I really love getting together, and I think you stated that well in that it's a really special place to be. Yeah. And it's one thing to all be vegan. It's another thing to all be interested in growth and self-development and fitness and just be really lots of genuinely good people who are coming together with so many shared kind of common interests. And I think one aspect that was really meaningful to me this year was how everyone showed up to compete in our vegan superhero games. So every retreat we host something called the Vegan Superhero Games, and that's an opportunity for our teams to come together. So all of our clients are separated, all of our coaches and clients are separated into 4 teams within our Vegan Superhero Academy community. We've got the Avengers, the Legends, Titans, and Guardians, and all 4 of these teams come together and they compete against each other for what had been known as the Vegan Superhero Trophy. And we just renamed it this year, and I'll share a little bit more about that in a few minutes. But yeah, it was just really amazing to the atmosphere was just really special this year. And I love seeing people come together and work together to compete and do their best, but also do that through the lens of supporting each other and coming together as one whole community and cheering on other teams and other people when they best you in a particular event. And it's really about so much more than winning. And that's something that we really tried to emphasize this year because that's really what the Vegan Superhero Games means to me. So what were your thoughts on this year and how it maybe was extra special than last year?
I think part of the extra special nature does have to do with what you're going to talk about related to Bryce, because I think it created an initial tone around living up to an ideal and a person that a lot of people would aspire to be like. But I also think it's a unique environment because regardless of age, ability, everyone stepped up. I mean, to me, winning was getting there. Winning was being on the team. Winning was stepping on the field. Winning was being you and just being accepted for who you were, regardless of what you brought to the team in terms of the competition for the trophy. And even scenes like when we were in the indoor basketball court, just watching people literally dance like no one was watching, that was amazing. And it was just a pure sense of joy that you can't capture.
Yeah, I completely agree with all of that. And I think that our conversations about Bryce really did set the tone. Mm-hmm. And it was just a really special, meaningful retreat for that reason. And I love to share a little speech that I wrote for the opening of the Vegan Superhero Games that kind of explains my perspective on the power of community and the importance of being a team player. So let me just read what I wrote for that. I said, I absolutely love the Vegan Superhero Games because they encapsulate everything that it means to be a vegan superhero. The games are about working together to achieve a common goal. They're about friendly competition that pushes us to all grow and improve. And every year, the Vegan Superhero Games prove that true victory comes not from winning, but from being a supportive team player and good sport. And that last point is my favorite aspect about the games. Vegan superheroes demonstrate unwavering integrity, humility, support, and sportsmanship in all that they do, including these games. With this in mind, I would like to take a moment to honor an incredible vegan superhero, the epitome of a team player who is no longer with us. And I said this to the whole community who knew Bryce. But I said, as many of you know, Bryce Henderson tragically passed away in December 2023, a few months after our last retreat. Bryce exemplified everything that it means to be a vegan superhero. He was kind and compassionate. He supported everyone around him. He worked hard and never made excuses or gave up. He would always be the first to raise his hand to volunteer for anything or help someone in need, whether he knew them or not. He was also always the first person to make someone feel warm and welcome, whether it was at our retreats or anywhere else. Bryce was truly one of the best humans I've ever known. I personally had the privilege of coaching him in 2020, and I've considered him to be a close friend ever since. His shining personality has enriched our community in so many ways, and we've been blessed with his presence at every vegan superhero retreat we've ever hosted. This was an event he would never miss. And as we were saying goodbye at last year's retreat, he told me, I can't wait to be back again next year. Well, Bryce may not be able to join us in person, but he's here with us in spirit. Given the infectious enthusiasm, genuine compassion, unlimited support, unwavering sportsmanship, and boundless positive energy that Bryce has brought to every retreat we've ever hosted, our team has decided to rename the Vegan Superhero Trophy in his honor. It will now forever be called the Bryce Henderson Trophy, and he will forever be part of the Vegan Superhero Games. I'd also like to announce another addition to the Vegan Superhero Retreat in Bryce's honor. It's my honor to announce the creation of our Vegan Superhero Games Team Player Award, an award gifted to the top team player on each team. This person doesn't have to be the strongest or fastest or have the quickest wits. This award goes to the member of each team who exemplifies everything that Bryce brought to the Vegan Superhero Games. A warm and welcoming personality, a willingness to always go above and beyond to support your fellow teammates, and a genuine love for cheering on the competition, even when they best you. On Sunday, which was a few days ago, at the conclusion of the 2024 Vegan Superhero Games, every team member will have the opportunity to write 3 names of their fellow teammates with a quick little story or reason for why they are selecting them. Our team will count up every name, and the person with the most votes will be crowned your team's team player, and their name will go on the team player award plaque. So that's a little bit about what I shared at the start of the Vegan Superhero Games this year. And as you touched on, I really feel like not having Bryce there and having so many people in our community who had relationships with him be there, it really felt special. Like everyone was kind of carrying the torch that Bryce had brought to every retreat. Our first 3 retreats, he was at every single one. And this was our 4th annual retreat. And just one example that stands out in a sea of many examples about how Bryce just always had a positive attitude, always cared about others, something that involved you last year. So Bryce was competing in the first day of the games in 2023. And there was this potato sack relay, and the team had to get from one side of the field to the other side of the field, and they would go one by one. And Bryce was the last person to go for his team, which was the Avengers. And he was hopping across the field, and at the finish line, he kind of seemed to indicate that he tripped, but I was watching it, and it looked like he just lunged for the finish line to save 0.2 seconds. And that's kind of how Bryce always showed up to things. He just always had a great spirit, great energy, but also was there to show up and get the job done. And he ended up, I guess I should ask the doctor exactly what the medical term is, but he dislocated his clavicle.
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, it was just kind of protruding out of his I don't know, shoulder, I guess you call it, or at least a non-medical person.
It was visibly prominent. Yeah.
It was visibly protruding.
Yes.
And for the record, we try to keep the games super, super safe, and we do not want anyone to be injured. And thankfully, we have a pretty great track record in that respect. But this happened last year, and Daphne has kind of been our de facto kind of medical support whenever something happens at our retreats. And she immediately started tending to Bryce and brought him to the ER. And yeah, do you want to share anything about kind of that experience and what it was like interacting with Bryce through that?
I have a feeling if I hadn't pushed, Bryce probably wouldn't have gone to the ER. But Bryce was amazing. At no point in time did he complain of pain. Did he just said, let's go sort this out, figure what it is. And I was the beneficiary of getting time to spend with Bryce, because we got to drive to the emergency department. We got to wait there. And all this time he was incessantly asking questions and talking and trying to learn more about me and share about him. And so while it was an accident, it was also an opportunity to get to know him better, which I really appreciated. But even after the minute we got back, he was right back in the games. He jumped out the car, ran into the rec hall, and I was just like, whoa, where are you going? He's like, I'm fine. I'll see you later. But he despite having a broken wing, he continued to fly for the rest of the games. And it didn't sit on the sidelines, didn't complain, didn't take pain medicine. Whenever I checked on him, he was just like, I'm fine, don't worry. There's other people you need to worry about. So he just rose above the injury, which I know must have hurt. Even just trying to put on his shirt every day was probably uncomfortable, but he never showed it.
Yeah, I think that's a great kind of view into who he was as a person. He just, yeah, he didn't want to bother anyone. He was always just had such a great attitude and spirit. And yeah, he was wearing a sling with his one arm the entire games, but that did not stop him at all. I saw him in every other event. He was there with one arm. He was shooting slingshots. He was making domino staircases. He was just 100% in on the games. And the Avengers, his team actually ended up winning last year, the overall games. And we got some really great photos of Bryce holding up the trophy with one arm in a sling.
Exactly.
And just this really incredible smile on his face. And I was actually talking with his father, Robert, at this retreat. And Robert told me that he has that picture hanging up on his wall. And he said that's the happiest I've ever seen him. And yeah, we actually invited Bryce's family to this retreat, and his father was able to join us, Robert, his sister Stephanie, his mom, his aunt, his grandmother. They were all able to join us, and that made it
super special,
a really special event. And the Avengers actually ended up winning again for the second time in a row. And we got some photos of his dad, Robert, holding up the trophy. And yeah, that was just a really special kind of full circle moment. And his family's not vegan, but they just kept saying how much this community and this event meant to Bryce, which was, yeah, just really special to hear. Doing the team player awards, I felt like that was such a nice addition to this year, being able to really highlight people within these games who went above and beyond to act as a team player and support their fellow teammates. And that's really what this event is all about. And that's ultimately what really matters. It's kind of the backstory as to what inspired this podcast and talking about the power of community and the importance of being a team player and showing up for other people in your life and how impactful that can really be. And Bryce was just really the epitome of a team player and really was a inspiring example of sportsmanship and supporting others to both me and everyone else that he encountered at the retreat.
And two other funny stories about Bryce. So despite his injury, the next day he drove to town and he bought me flowers, which I thought was just an example of how selfless he was. Because one, I shouldn't have been driving, but I'm sure driving one hand is probably not recommended. But yeah, that was the kind of person he was. So the other one was because I continued to check in on him after he got home just to make sure he saw a specialist and was able to regain full mobility of that side. And he never complained. He just was happy that he was healing and was going to be able to do the things he loved to do. So yeah, I still have all those text messages.
So yeah, let's talk about what it means to be part of a community, what it means to be a respectful competitor. So where would you like to start?
I would love to get your opinion on the whole concept of a team player, because I feel in many ways that society has gotten to a point where we reward the individual more so than the team, or at least people feel that they need to excel or shine as an individual in order to receive accolades, and not necessarily that being a team player is a way of getting or of fostering the same type of respect, accolades as it is being an individual. How do you think we have the conversation around the value of being a true team player? And I know it's important to us because it's actually a trait that we recruit for, but being an individual contributor is very different than being a team player. And how do you in your mind even reconcile exceeding as, when you exceeding as an individual is great, but exceeding as a team player probably is more rewarding?
Yeah, so we read a book called The Ideal Team Player by Patrick Lencioni, I believe, and he used 3 words to describe an ideal team player. They're humble, hungry, and smart.
Yeah.
So that's, I think that's a maybe good foundation for describing what some really important attributes of team players might be, especially within the role of being part of a team that is working really hard to achieve a shared vision. And no person is a one person success.
No, never.
And that's, I think, our work in building the team at the vegan gym has just constantly reinforced that fact to me. And I really love how month after month I can tangibly see myself becoming less and less important in the team, and seeing people step up and hiring really incredible people and getting better at delegating. And that's really shown me the power of having a bunch of talented, hardworking people who are working to achieve a shared mission.
Mm-hmm.
So I've just seen time and time again people who want to who try to get all the credit or want to be the one man show or one woman show. Just doesn't work out, certainly not long term. And any great athletes, any great entrepreneurs, anyone is surrounded by a team of people who are supporting them in more ways than most people would see from the outside.
I would agree.
So yeah, we all need a great team to accomplish truly extraordinary things. And I think focusing on individual efforts is done at the detriment of long-term success and true team success.
And you mentioned that the VSA Games is partly a competition where the 4 teams within the Vegan Superhero Academy are competing against each other. But in preparing for our conversation today, it was interesting to me that the word competition actually comes from the Latin word competere. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, which means to strive together. So competition in my head had always meant competing. It had taken on this current day meaning where you are rivaling as opposed to striving together. And we actually were preparing this conversation. It really made me realize that that Latin root was the truth, because even in a competition, you need the team to win. So how do you feel, or how are you fostering the spirit of both competition yet striving together in terms of the VSA Games? Or how do you create how does the community balance that? I mean, the Avengers want to win. They want to win again. But we also are creating a community vibe where we win by being together, by striving together.
So I think it's really, I think there's a lot to learn and be gained from working to put forth your best effort. Mm-hmm. And for me, best effort means I want to show up and put in my 100%. So that is aligned with trying to achieve a common goal of maybe winning a particular event or showing up really powerfully as a team and doing well in a particular event. And ultimately, if we're putting forth 100% effort, that may be aligned with ultimately winning a competition like the Vegan Superhero Games. But I think it's absolutely critical to balance that with an understanding that it's truly not about winning. Yeah. It's about showing up and doing your best and growing together and learning together and taking both wins and defeats in stride. And ultimately, I think when competition is at its best, it's a bunch of people who respect each other and support each other, who are all working to give a certain event, a certain competition, their best effort, their 100%. And there will be someone whose 100%, at least that day, ends up in victory. Mm-hmm. But that does not mean that everyone else lost. And I really feel like the true victory is not actually winning, but it's putting forth your 100% efforts and doing that in mutual collaboration with other people on your team. So we try really hard to balance the idea of pushing to achieve a shared goal, which in some respects is showing up and winning these individual events. And then ultimately, if you do well in each of these individual events, it's earning a top spot at the end of the Vegan Superhero Games and winning the overall games. But you have not truly won if that is done, or if you attempt to do that to the detriment of team collaboration. Mm-hmm. And supporting your teammates and being a good sport and being a respectful competitor. So you need to blend those two parts together to achieve true victory if you do end up winning at the end of the day.
Do you ever reflect on the fact that in some ways it's amazing that a bunch of individuals, none of whom have been together before, can come together and in a very short period of time go from individual contributors to teams? Because if you really think about it, most of the people came to the retreat. Some of them have been here 2, 3, 4 years, but many of them, this is their first year. And yet they were able to step into the role of team player very quickly.
Yeah, we work really hard to design the retreat in that way, but I think even more so than that, we just have a really special community of people who already feel that way and already are just genuinely really caring, supportive humans. And I think there's a lot of crossover between being a compassionate, supportive team player and being vegan.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you just inherently attract really kind, compassionate, supportive people, given the fact that we all believe in the same values related to veganism. So I think that makes a huge difference. But I am always inspired to see people come together who are coming from all different backgrounds, have all different skill sets, have all different abilities, all are at totally different points in their health and fitness journey, and can come together and really work to achieve a common goal and can support each other through that process. And we structure the games really strategically in that it's not all physical challenges. Mm-hmm. And in fact, I think it mostly was not physical this year. And we've kind of been trending even more and more toward other activities that will emphasize different strengths. Right. So, for example, we've been doing a lot of puzzles mm-hmm. at our retreats, and that's been a big part of the games. So everything from building a spaghetti marshmallow tower at the games to completing jigsaw puzzles, doing math puzzles, doing word scrambles, guessing movie quotes or guessing what songs are that we play, and just all these different ways to emphasize different skill sets and different contributors. And there are some people who thrive in the physical activities. There are other people who really thrive with some of the mental puzzles and challenges. And they all work together to really lift each other up and allow each other to shine at what they are really great at. I think that also really helps to set a clear tone for the games and what it means to be a team player.
I would agree. We've been talking about community in the sense of the games in particular, but community doesn't stop when people leave the retreat. Why do you think community is so important for people in achieving their long-term goals, whether it's your fitness goals, your health goals, your advocacy goals? Community isn't just important while we're there, but community persists afterwards and can play a role for many people. And why do you think it's important?
Humans are social creatures, and when you are surrounded with other people who have similar beliefs, similar goals, and a similar mindset, they're very like-minded kind of across the board. It really creates a network of support and encouragement, and really kind of continually grows and builds on itself and strengthens itself from all of the love, support, and encouragement that people pour into it. So when we face challenges, when we face setbacks, it's easy to feel discouraged when you do not have other people in your corner who are supporting you. If you just feel really isolated in your health and fitness journey, or you feel really isolated in whatever endeavor you're striving to accomplish, that's when you are going to likely struggle. If you don't have that support system, if you don't have people who you feel are in your corner and wanting the best for you, that becomes a lonely place. And it's really hard to show up every day when you feel like you're in a silo and you don't have other people in your corner.
I would agree. And we also know that lack of social connection, I mean, it's been a topic of conversation since the pandemic. So the fact that, and I actually had people texting me after the retreat just talking about that power of community, that they didn't realize how powerful it was till they were actually there.
Yeah, and it's something that we talk about a lot within our community. And I forget who I was talking with, but I think it was one of the clients at the retreat who said something along the lines of, yeah, I heard everything that you guys said about community and how this was a special place, and I like kind of believed it and decided to grab my ticket, and I was kind of nervous about coming, but this really is about community and support and encouragement, and I just feel so incredibly welcomed and supported by everyone here, and that's not something that I've ever felt in another group. And feedback like that is really, really special.
Yeah.
And I think it speaks to the power of community. And I think there are lots of really amazing forms of community, but I think it's really important to surround yourself with the right community. And there are varying levels of support, encouragement that you're going to get depending on the type of community that you join and what the real purpose is there and how purposefully it's been cultivated and strengthened. And I think it's really a team effort within our Vegan Superhero Academy community. And actually, most of that comes from our clients.
Yeah.
It's not even from our team. Yeah. And I think it's
organic.
That's how if you have an organic community that continues growing and strengthening, I think that's how you know you are a part of something really meaningful and special.
I agree with you. So we talked about reading The Ideal Team Player, the book by Patrick Lencioni, where he does describe an ideal team player as humble, hungry, and smart. What advice would you have for people who want to become more of a team player in their personal or professional life?
I think the root of a successful team comes down to communication. And if you gotten the feedback or feel like you might have some developing to do in the area of communication, I think specifically listening well, I think that makes a huge impact on your ability to show up and be a team player. I place a lot of value on the ability to listen, not just hear words that are coming out of someone's mouth, but actually really listening to what they're saying and how they're feeling and what they're trying to describe. And you don't listen to someone while thinking about the next thing that you are going to say or respond with, and you don't listen to someone being on the edge of your seat, ready to spit out the next thing that is on your mind, and you just want to throw out your thoughts into the conversation. So I really have worked hard to become a better listener, and I think that's paid dividends in my life from multiple avenues. But in the context of this question, specifically in cultivating a good team and really hearing every person on that team and wanting to be part of the team player spirit. So I think communication goes a really long way. Listening and genuinely caring about what people are saying and wanting to respond in a way that is going to further that relationship and make that person feel valued and make that person feel like you understand them. I think that is the foundation of any great team. So being able to communicate and specifically being able to listen is really valuable. One thing that I have found to be helpful is really intentionally pausing after someone is done speaking and just giving that their thought a little space to just kind of hang in the air. And I don't always do it really well, but when I'm at my best and really trying to listen to someone and make them feel truly heard, that is a strategy that's worked really well and gives you the time and space to digest what they're saying and then make the person feel that you are not on the edge of your seat, ready to jump in and spit out the next thought in your mind. And it gives you some time to speak more intelligently and purposefully. And I think that really aids in communication. So that would kind of be my top tip for being a team player. It's really listening to people, and when someone is not speaking who you would like to hear from, or is maybe a quieter member of the team who you know has some really great thoughts to contribute and has a complementary skill set to yours and likely has different perspectives that they can draw upon to further the conversation and help your team. I think working to draw that out of other people and saying, "Hey, Mary, I'd really love to hear from you. I think that you likely have some really valuable thoughts to share that I think would benefit all of us, and I'd love to hear those." Or simply, "Hey, Mary, do you have any ideas that you like to share? It looks you've been really patiently sitting there and listening, and I just know that you have a lot of skills, and I'd love to hear your perspective if you have anything to share." So I think drawing that out of people and really highlighting other strengths and knowing that you are never going to have all the answers. You can't succeed as a one person show. And it's really important to drive forward a team player spirit, because nothing truly great is accomplished without a team. And there's a big, big difference between a team that works together and communicates well and genuinely cares about each other and supports each other. There's a huge difference between that team and another team where everyone wants to just go with their ideas and they think that they are right. They think that they're the superstar in the team and they can carry the whole team. Even if you happen to succeed in, let's say, winning an event with that approach, you did not truly win as a team. And that win is actually not that meaningful. So I would much rather work well together as a team and not claim victory than have one or two people just try to be the superstars and try to cut everyone else out to win something that at the end of the day really doesn't matter, especially not more than working together as a team and making other people feel valued.
Well said. In talking about working together as a team, the coaching team is doing a Tough Mudder this weekend.
Yes, that's right. That is really sneaking up on us.
What do you hope that we as a team will walk away from that event having accomplished?
I have gotten so much out of experiences that really challenge me, particularly physical endurance events. Those, at least for me, really push me to get uncomfortable, and through that discomfort comes growth. Some of my favorite experiences in participating in events like an Ironman or marathon or some other kind of endurance events, my favorite experiences in those events are just meeting people out on the course. And it's pretty much every endurance race I do, at one point or another, sometimes multiple points, I'll just get to talking with someone else who is in the race, and you just kind of form sometimes an unspoken partnership with each other.
Shared pain.
And yeah, you're sharing an experience, you're in pain together, you decide to kind of help pace each other. Maybe that's happened a lot for me. And those are really special opportunities. And I think there's just so much value that I have gained from doing hard things with other people and triumphing over adversity with other people, supporting others through that process, and just, yeah, kind of suffering together and coming out in one piece together. And so I've gotten so much value personally from those experiences. And ultimately, that's kind of my hope from this event. It's working together as a shared unit with the intention of completing this Tough Mudder and leaving no person behind.
Right.
So this is not about achieving any certain time. This is about all of us going out there and working together to achieve a common goal. And I think doing something that is really physically challenging brings people together and helps to really drive the feelings of mutual support and connection and feeling like I can look to my left and right and know that everyone has my back. So that's the goal from this Tough Mudder. And I know we're not going to be that fast because I have not personally trained. So if anything, I'll probably be the person that everyone else is not leaving behind by continually picking me up. But that's what I think that's what it means to be a team. And I think we're going to have a really awesome experience in doing a hard thing together. And yeah, it's kind of what I hope to get out of it is build a stronger, more tight knit team where everyone knows that everyone else on the team has their back and is there to support them. And there will be certain events through the Tough Mudder. It's not just racing, there are obstacles.
Mm-hmm.
So there will be certain events where one team member shines and then another team member will shine. And I think we'll all have our own individual strengths and also kind of our own challenges. And yeah, I look forward to going through that experience with our team.
It will be fun. So, Leif, as we wrap up today, I have a question for you. There are many special people in our lives, like Bryce, and sometimes we don't acknowledge them until they're gone. If you had another opportunity to see Bryce, what would you say to him today?
Bryce really inspired me to be a better person in a multitude of ways. And I don't think I ever really emphasized just how much I've got from him, how much he inspired me to just show up and genuinely care about other people. Bryce, you really inspire me to always be a better version of myself. And I've probably most often defined becoming a better version of myself in a way that was more so aligned with my personal goals and long-term aspirations. But the authenticity of support and love that Bryce shared with other people is something that I really aspire to share with people around me. And I think he left some very big shoes to fill.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to believe just how genuinely selfless and caring that he was in every interaction. And there are few people who really kind of reach Bryce's level in that respect. And I'm certainly not on that list, but I think that's the ultimate victory in life, is to really show up for other people, care for other people, and live life like Bryce always did.
Thank you for answering that. And for everyone listening or watching, I think the message there is don't wait till tomorrow to tell the people that you love and care about that what they mean to you, because none of us are promised tomorrow. And I agree, Bryce left big shoes to fill, but it gives us all something more of ourselves to aspire to.
When we have the opportunity to meet someone who shows up in those ways to you and everyone else around them, I think those are people to really keep close and just really do your best to take their example and be that person in other people's lives.
And dance like no one is watching. I think that's a wrap.
Yeah, this was a meaningful conversation that I'm glad we shared with everyone. And Bryce meant a lot to me and you and our community. And I hope that if you did not know Bryce, I hope that you felt the amazing person he was in this episode. So thank you so much for listening. I hope that you found value in this conversation. I hope it inspired you to go out and do good in the world and work to listen to others and support others and work to constantly be a team player and cultivate community and be there for other people. And yeah, I think the world needs more of that. Yes. And that's something that our community is working hard to cultivate. And that's something that the world would benefit from you doing the same. So thank you so much for listening to this episode. Thank you so much for being here with me today, Leif. Daphne. And we look forward to catching you on the next one. Thank you.